Okay, we're looking at 3-1 representing relations. So a little change, we're still going to be working with equations, but it's just we're really talking about relationships now. So today I can represent relationships with graphs, ordered pairs, tables, and mapping. So there's a lot of things going on here. So vocabulary, this is important. This is what you're going to need for the rest of high school. Is relation, it's a set of ordered pairs, or set of ordered pair, I guess. Range, the second number in an ordered pair, or the y value. So for instance, the 1 is the range in this, because when we do an ordered pair, it's in the form XY. So for instance, when you have 2, 1, the 2 is the X value, 1 is the Y value. So domain, the first number in an ordered pair, so 5 would be the domain here, the first number. The independent variable, is the variable in a relation, usually the X, with a value that is subject to change, subject to choice. So for instance, a lot of times this is time or years. And then the dependent variable is the variable usually Y with values that depend on the X. So for instance, how many cell phone minutes you use over the week. So the cell phone minutes is dependent on how much time there is in a week. So, example here. A relation example is just your ordered pairs. Remember, they're in the form XY. You really need to remember this. It's very important. And then the domain is the first number. So if you look up here, that's the first number there, the first number there, and the first number there. And then range is the second number of each of these. So this is kind of what the problems are going to look like. It's going to ask you, we should probably go with something brighter. Express the relation as a table, a graph, and mapping. So we're going to do all 3 of those things, and then part B, we're going to determine the range and domain. So a table is set up by X, Y. So I just take each one of these and put them on a line. So the first one is 2, 0. The second one is 0, 4. Third one's 3, -5. And the fourth one's -3, -5. So that's your table. Then we graph these. Remember, this is the X, and going up and down is the Y. So you do the X first. So we go 2, 0, which is right there. And then we have 0, 4. And then 3, -5. And we're always starting right in the middle there. And then -3, -5. I'm going to put a big black dot where we start. This is where we start counting. It's called the origin. And then it says set up as mapping. So I just need to put these numbers in here. I'm going to put my ordered pairs in here. And then I'm going to draw lines to what they go with. Oh, I messed up. There's 2 -5s there, huh? So we don't need this -5 here. We only need the numbers in there once. And then we just draw a line from both to that same number. So let's try again. So once again, let's start with a table. So x, y, I'm just going to take the numbers I have here. So I have 2, 5, -2, 3, 5, 2, and then -1, -2. So now I'm going to graph those. Oh man, I forgot the range and domain. Let's go back real quick. I'm sorry. We did not, see, I just made a typical mistake. I did not look at the whole question. So we need to do the range and domain now. So remember, the domain is the x values. So my domain is 2, 0, 3, -3. Those are all commas. And the range are my y values. So that is, I only need to write them once, 0, 4, -5. Okay, let's go back to where we were, sorry. So we've already done the table. Now we can do the mapping. So I have 2, -2, 5, and -1. On the y side, I have 5, 3, and -2. See, I have two -2s here. So I'm only going to put it once. I'm going to draw a line from both that go to -2. And then I'm going to graph these. So remember, we're starting right here at the origin. So I go over 2, up 5. That's my first point. I go to the left 2 because it's negative, and then up 3. Then I go to the right 5 and down 2. And then I go to the left 1 and down 2. And that's what it looks like. So once again, range and domain. So domain is my x values. So it's 2, -2, 5, -1. And then my range are my y values. I just do them once, so I take them from the mapping, really. Okay, so this is representing relationships. It says texting. The graph represents the number of text messages sent by Nora throughout the day. Identify the independent and dependent variables. So remember, independent is usually the x, and especially if they have it on a graph, remember that's x, this is y, but time is almost always an independent variable. So time is the independent variable. And then the dependent variable is going to be on the y. So the number of text messages sent by Nora is the dependent variable. So we need to describe what happens over the graph. So I'm going to get my highlighter out. So it looks like when she first gets her phone, she texts a lot. And then this straight line indicates she didn't text at all. And then here we go to texting more again. And then she must be in school here because she's not texting at all because we don't text in school. And then after school, she must have decided to text a lot again because it goes back up. So now we're going to graph this. It wants us to create a scale. So we need to look at my highest x value and my lowest x value. So we have to be able to pull out my lowest x value, which is, if I look, 5, -36, 25, 38. So it looks like it's -36. See that right there? And my highest x value, and that looks like it's 38. So I am going from -36 to 38. So that probably means my scale needs to go from maybe 40, negative 40 to 40. I just incorporated the next highest like round number of tens. Now I need to look at my y values because I have to have a scale on my y values too. So my smallest y value looks to be negative 91. And it goes to 80. So if I was making a scale here, I would probably go negative 100 to 100. So I would just write that over here. So then we're just going to graph that. And your x values are going to go by 20s. And then your y values will go by 5s. So graph 580. Oops, I put those on there wrong. Got distracted. Sorry, guys. So negative 36 is going to be over here. And we're going to go up to 48, which is about halfway. Then we're going to have 25, negative 91. And 38, 95. Negative 10, negative 50. That's halfway in between. And then 1 and 22. And that's what it's going to look like. So my x values here go from negative 8 to 9. So it looks like we can probably go from negative 10 to 10, which would make them just 1. So we'll write that up here. And my y values are the one that are really high. So I go from negative 181 to 196. So this looks like we would go from negative 200 to 200. Which means every line there is going to be 20. So the first one's negative 325, so it's going to be like right about there. And 4, 148, so 20, 40, 60, 80, somewhere in there. 9, negative 76, negative 8, 196, and 0 and negative 181. Okay, make sure you get those notes down. I believe that's it. Let me make sure. Yep.